The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your host, Jason Beck, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Yes, good morning, everybody. That's right. It is Tuesday, August 5th, and today is National Oyster Day today, you guys.
I fucking love that one. All the stupid holidays that you say, Jenny Beth, you're going to love this, and you realize that oysters are like one of my favorite foods, and you don't mention anything. It's a miss. It's a swing and a miss, but I'm so excited.
It's definitely not a swing and a miss, because I don't miss.
I'm going to celebrate.
You spell celebrate with an S? Because that's how it sounded.
Keep going.
What's that even mean?
Celebrate, Todd.
He's trying to get one back, Todd. He's trying to get one back, but it's.
I don't need to ever try. First of all, it's also here you love this one, Jenny. It's National Work Like a Dog Day.
That's every day.
American.
I mean, somebody's got to do it.
Fair enough. It's National Underwear Day today, you guys.
Oh.
Are you wearing underwear, Jenny?
What the fuck?
Oh, that's funny.
Just wondering.
Yeah, just inquiring minds.
It's National Underwear Day.
It's National
No, Todd,
Underwear
I'm
Day.
not. But thanks for asking.
Thank you for sharing that.
Oh boy, you guys. Man, you guys. Oh man, it's also National Night Out today. You know what that is, right, Todd?
I do not.
That's when like all the
what it is.
that's when all the neighborhoods and whatnot they meet up with law enforcement and whatnot. And it's National Night Out Day. It's like a community night, community awareness. Meet your neighbors. You know what I'm saying? You know, all that kind of thing. You know,
just like a block party.
Yeah, exactly. No, get to know people in your community. All of that kind of stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Be sure and miss that in my community today.
You're such a hater. Such a hater, Todd.
They're missing in most communities across the country these days.
Exactly.
No, well, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. There's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below to see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, Kick, as well as on our very own website at www.highat9news.com. So thank you to everyone joining us from any one of those platforms. And we are kicking it off with Miss Jenny Beth Dills. She's the founder of Kind Cannabis and of Justice Served, and apparently she got her mic and internet back to working today. Much better. That's right. It is none other than Miss Jenny Beth Dills.
And the crowd goes wild.
I mean, I could have made an underwear comment.
Let's not.
See?
Let's
There we
not
go.
And not some more. How about
There
that?
we go. There we go.
Yeah, amazing. Thanks. All right, so Metrc and BioTrack, two of the cannabis industry's tech giants, have officially announced a strategic partnership aimed at revolutionizing cannabis compliance and innovation. The collaboration introduces a newly formed entity, BT Government Inc., which will independently manage BioTrack's government-facing operations, led by industry veteran Moa Fena. BT Government ensures continuity for state programs while allowing Metrc and BioTrack to sharpen their focus on their individual strengths. I don't know what BioTrack's individual strength is, to honestly. Under the deal, BioTrack will double down on its commercial tech offerings like ERP and POS platforms, while Metrc will continue powering state-level regulatory compliance through its track and trace system. The partnership is designed to reduce friction for both regulators and operators with enhanced tools for oversight, public safety, and transparency. Michael Johnson, CEO of Metrc, says the move reflects a shared commitment to innovation and integrity in cannabis regulation. Meanwhile, BioTrack CEO Zachary Venegas emphasized that this partnership enables seamless integration with existing systems while maintaining their signature customer support. I'll get to that. Importantly, Metrc's current clients won't see any disruption. State contracts will remain unaffected. As the cannabis market heads towards a projected $40 billion valuation in 2025, partnerships like this aim to meet growing demands for secure, scalable, and transparent technology solutions. Metrc and BioTrack now aligned to advance the future of cannabis technology. Okay. So, please, anybody who is operating or who thinks about operating, the APIs do not take away the need for knowledge or someone who is knowledgeable to teach you how to use these systems. I am actually kind of surprised by this. Obviously, Metrc is positioned to be the conglomerate when things go to a federal level. So I don't know if this is BioTrack's way of staying in the game or what, but I'm gonna hold comment on a little bit of this and try to play slightly nice in the sandbox. I'll give my more pointed feedback to them directly. But yes, Metrc and BioTrack got married, guys. Let's see what they have.
Wow. Talk about consolidation. This is a big deal right here, Jenny Beth. I mean,
Really hope it makes Metrc easier to navigate and easier to get things done, easier to fix any kind of problems that happen, because right now it is
I can
take a
guarantee
long
you,
wait to get something done with Metrc.
I can guarantee
Why?
you it won't, Todd.
Todd, just fucking call me and give me a login and I'll get it done for you, Todd. It's easy.
Really?
Yeah, I got it.
Awesome.
Why?
No, but-
Kind of what I do.
Just call me, like, that's your area of expertise. So it's, it's easy for you, but so is driving a race car for Michael Schumacher. I mean, like, for the rest of us, it's challenging, right? So consolidation is not going to improve the user experience. It's going to
Not
improve
at all.
single company's market share.
Mhm.
Right. It's going to push more people into wanting to use BioTrack's POS, which is the point. And then there's probably some lobbying money since they have a government-facing entity now. But hey, listen, Metrc, I think you guys were big enough and bad enough to get the contract yourself with the federal government. But hey, bringing BioTrack in, who has failed at track and trace, is very interesting to me.
I think it's a different reason behind this, Jenny Beth.
What do you think, Jason?
I think this is just a grab at market share by Metrc to consolidate with BioTrack to gobble up those state markets, because BioTrack only has like 2 or 3 states. Metrc has pretty much all the rest of them, and now it's pretty much only Metrc that is going to be involved in track and trace, because they just ate up BioTrack.
Yeah, but I don't think it would have been hard to have taken those contracts anyway, Jason.
Well,
Agreed.
it obviously was.
It's state mandated, in lots of states.
For there to be interstate commerce in a track and trace system, there needs to be one consolidated track and trace system, right? I can't have a Florida system, a Georgia system. There needs to be, they all need to talk together if we're going to be able to send weed across state lines.
Well, that's not going to happen anytime soon.
Well, clearly, Jason, clearly. But if it were, you're going to need one system. And I would bet that the government would go with the one that's in more states than not. Metrc already has the market share. I think that this is a play for BioTrack to not lose completely and be up out of it.
I agree with that.
Also, yeah. So they're going to try to push. This is what scares me. If every fucking operator has to use BioTrack system as a POS, that freaks me out.
Why would everyone have to use them as the system?
Well, if everybody has to use Metrc and BioTrack are somehow the only two that are married now and fully integrated and tie in together, and they're pushing forward, they named it government whatever. What they call it, government something was the name of the company. I think it's a play for them to push towards the federal government and saying, hey, no, every operator will use these 2 systems, and that way you have full visibility into the entire industry, which is really unfair to some of those other tech platforms. that do function better than BioTrack?
I think everyone functions better than both of them.
My dysfunction is better than their function.
Exactly. Exactly.
It seems like BioTrack's kind of been through a few hands over the past few years. They've been used in Florida, I know, for a while, and have been around here. But I think it's consolidation, exactly what you said, for two companies that may be kind of struggling to get market share. I know that the lobbying for those state contracts was for them and a big push in state after state. So anything that kind of brings the industry more mainstream and more likely for regulators to kind of push for it. It's kind of anti-capitalism in many ways, but anyone can still go out there and fight for these products. I don't see any big deal about it. It's just another business consolidation.
It's a big deal, bro. It's a big deal, Michael.
Well, I understand that aspect of it as two big companies coming together, but as far as the change in functionality and what people are doing otherwise in the space, I think most states are using one of these products or one of the smaller ones.
Todd, any final thoughts on this, Todd?
No, I just think that you're right. It's another consolidation of two, a medium-sized company being swallowed up by a large company. The advantage, I don't know what that is yet, other than the BioTrack has some good developers that can, like I said, help make Metrc a little more user-friendly, except unless you use Jenny. So
www.kindcannabis.us.
if you don't have Jenny in your life, Metrc is very difficult.
Well, you can always call me, Todd. I'm always happy to jump on and help you guys.
I don't care what you guys say about Jenny. I've always liked her.
I mean, of course, Todd.
Yarrow.
I don't think anyone ever doubted that part, Todd.
I think my tolerance is very loving.
Interesting, you guys. Interesting. Well, seeing as how Jenny is trying to steal the story and make it all about herself, we're going to roll into our first commercial, and then we're going to be right back. And we are back, you guys.
And coming up next, before Yarrow falls off the roof, he's not quite tall enough to reach, Jason Beck, the High Nine head honcho. What do you got, Jace?
Oh, man, you guys. Well, and well again. This whole New York thing is such a shit show, and apparently someone's trying to fix it, but we'll see. We'll see if they ultimately are successful, because a New York bill filed to protect marijuana dispensaries from being forced to relocate over school proximity. That's right. A new bill filed by State Senator Louis Sepulveda, a Democrat, would protect dozens of licensed marijuana retailers in New York from being forced to relocate due to proximity to schools. The legislation, Senate Bill 8469, was introduced today and referred to the Senate Rules Committee. It comes just 1 week after the Office of Cannabis Management, the OCM, sent letters to 152 adult use dispensaries informing them that their current locations violate state regulations requiring they be at least 500 feet from a school property line. Many of these businesses were already licensed and operating, having previously received location approval from the state. Under the proposed measure, any dispensary that was approved before July 28th of 2025 and found at the time to be compliant with state regulations, regardless of the business's actual proximity to a school, would be considered in good standing for license renewal and ongoing operation. To qualify, the dispensary must not have violated any regulations and must remain in good standing with the OCM. And if enacted, the bill could prevent potentially hundreds of dispensaries from facing costly and disruptive relocations. OCM's recent enforcement action drew backlash from retailers and lawmakers alike, with critics arguing that the state was unfairly penalizing businesses for location determinations that were originally greenlit by regulators. And the bill would take effect immediately if it passes. Well, I'm glad to see that someone is trying to do something in New York, but we'll see how far this is going to go. And I just find it super interesting that they're trying to, make all these licensed retailers relocate, but not doing anything about all the trap that's right next door and right outside and doesn't have to deal with any of those land use regulations. And I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
Why don't they move the school? It's obviously in the way.
I'm not opposed to that either, Todd. I don't think I think that's fair. I'm not mad at that.
I do too.
Look, if we have a conversation about these radius requirements, we're having the wrong conversation, in my opinion. We have to have a conversation about destigmatizing cannabis, and if it's truly a regulated and legal industry, then it needs to have parity with other adult use products. And unless it is treated the same as a liquor store or place where you can buy cigarettes, then this is built-in bias against the industry. And the idea about these sensitive use radiuses, what it's done to this industry is it's caused a massive real estate bubble. It's limited the locations where businesses can operate. It's increased cost, increased the complexity. Like, it's great that this person is putting in a fix-it bill, but the real fix is to stop with these radius requirements that don't make any sense. Show me the data. Show me the data where a preschooler grew up to have cannabis something syndrome because they had grown up so close to a dispensary that as a result of that, they were taking dabs at 12 years old, heating their rig off the back of their parents' exhaust pipe. I mean, show me where this is coming from.
I think that's
doing
a fair
that in
point.
the churches that they're not allowed to be within 1,000 feet of. So, that's what they're doing.
Oh,
but that's the problem.
I mean, these radius requirements are really, really expensive for this industry. And they put retail in places where retail shouldn't be. Retail doesn't need to be tucked away in some armpit industrial neighborhood just because you're worried that God and proselytizing is going to be limited because there's a little green cross on a sign 2 blocks down. It's just so antiquated.
How to protect the kids, Yarrow. How to protect them.
Well, I need to protect the kids against the false paradigm that these radiuses protect them at all. Like, if you want to protect kids, let's beef up Megan's Law. Let's go after the Chomos. Let's do enhanced screening requirements for Cub Scout leaders or religious clergy, or, I mean, I can go on and on and on. I mean, it's not lost on me that the idea of protecting children, these sensitive uses, some of these religious locations, like, there's some pretty heinous people who are wearing religious outfits and claiming to be more in touch with a better 5G connection to God than we have. And so I think we've got it really pretty backwards in terms of how we think that saving kids should be done, protecting them.
Yeah, it's all excuse rhetoric that has absolutely no sense in reality with regards to the kid stuff. That's a parental issue, not an operator issue, I think, in many respects. It's great that they're trying to do something. It's a mess out there. The cannabis space in the country is a mess, but work with all the pop-up shops and things like that, it's really weird going up there and be like, is this a legal shop? Is this not a legal shop? What are you selling?
Yeah.
It's very interesting. Fun. I mean, it's an experience.
If we want to talk about protecting kids, we're going to have a get real conversation in this country about gun reform. And I say that as somebody who is not anti-gun, but we're going to need to talk about why kids need bulletproof backpacks to safely get back home on any given school day.
Well, that's a lot of propaganda, and the reality of it is, if we took people's abilities for guns once they're on these psychotrip or drugs, I think that's really kind of more the thing. Or it made people have background checks to prove that they're not on psychotropic drugs. That would make a lot more sense, because all of these things have those psychotropic drugs in relation with all of these different instances that you're relating to, Yarrow. That's the commonality. See,
we really cared about kids, we wouldn't have a pedophile in the White House, right? So
we don't have a pedophile in the White House. That's 100% fake news, Todd.
This is all about protecting the kids. Is such a mix.
I'm all about protecting the kids, but here's the other part about this is I've never really understood why a business that you have to show your ID to enter into and enter out of, basically, it makes any sense that it should be subject to any type of radius for as far as a sensitive use. I mean, as long as everyone is checking the IDs at the door, I don't see what the problem is. Like, do nightclubs have sensitive land uses that they can't be around?
I believe they do.
Yeah, that's my whole point. I don't, I know that they have different zoning areas of where they want those businesses to be located within cities, you know what I'm saying, as far as like different districts or whatnot, you know what I mean? But they don't, there's no proximity to how close they can be to X, Y, or Z.
So, in Florida, right, for example, with MTCs and stuff, there's kind of like a statewide, parameters, and then really a lot of those things are zoned by locals, right? Not necessarily on a statewide or broader level.
Yeah, where there's like a statewide recommendation, and then local municipalities can choose to adhere to that, or go against it whatever way they think fits best in their community, right?
Yeah, usually not a recommendation, right? So in Florida, like how we do dispensaries, all dispensaries are supposed to be regulated or zoned like pharmacies, right? And so what a lot of the counties did that didn't want the dispensaries were like, okay, well, we're going to then rezone our pharmacies and then grandfather all the ones that were already there. So, things like that. Or a state could totally preempt it like they did with cultivation facilities and manufacturing facilities in the state, which basically said, hey, the manufacturing facility can be an industrial or agricultural zone, and that's it. And you get the license from the state, and you don't have to do anything with regards to locality as far as the zoning on those facilities. So,
yeah.
And so that's why it makes it very difficult for every state, and then every locality is different in these types of situations. But ultimately, for once, I'm going to say Yarrow is correct that, this is education, this is a discrimination type of issue, as opposed to, being reality and letting businesses be businesses and, sell alcohol on every street corner and tobacco. I mean, where's the protection for the children there? And some of the childproof the packaging for alcohol is so absurdly child provocative that like it's absolutely insane. The largest complaint against alcohol companies with regards to marketing is that 95% or plus of complaints is their attractiveness to children.
Yep, and no one's.
Did you say for once Yarrow is right? Like, I know that's how sort of like the English language goes, but like as an attorney, it might make sense to focus on being more accurate by saying yet again.
I agree with I agree with our attorney on today that
on the verbiage that he chose. Yeah.
I'm supporting
he knew what he meant
that.
To say.
Yeah. You've been overruled.
Questionable.
Overruled, Yarrow. Overruled.
I'm a human. I'm in the right lane. I must be BioTrack correct because I am.
Oh boy.
No. So I mean, that's the thing, is that we see the public policy of regulated cannabis where these ideals or these policy planks are just almost like auto-populated to new markets. The radius is something that pretty much every new market has included, and I haven't heard anybody explain why, except that, well, that's how it was done in Colorado, or that's how it was done in California, or that's how they did it in Washington. And so it's kind of this group think. It's just this rubber stamping of existing policy for more mature markets into new markets without a lot of thought around population density, urban versus suburban, whether there's any data to support it. There's no real fresh thinking. Nobody is saying, wait a second, the emperor has no clothes. Why does this make sense? Why are we adopting this? Show us that it worked elsewhere so that we can adopt it here. And especially in New York, I mean, we're talking about some of the densest urban environments in the United States. And these radiuses are just arbitrary.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know how many people you have in a 250-foot radius in some parts of downtown New York City, but it's got to be a heck of a lot of people. And kids aren't accessing cannabis because there's a dispensary. They're accessing cannabis because regulated cannabis is overtaxed, and therefore the plug still exists, and kids are getting it on the trap.
Fair enough. And the thing about with radiuses too is you could have a school on the 20th floor of a building, right? And when you measure it by a radius, it's still going to be measured as if it's on the ground floor on a street level. And so that poses a whole nother problem when you talk about the density within New York, Yarrow. That's the whole nother can of worms, and that's why I think that if New York wants to do something like this, they need to make it from property line to property line and measure it in a walkable distance. That to me is the only thing that makes sense if they want to keep this type of buffer, so to say. But I don't agree with the buffers. I think they're all stupid, and I don't think they do anything. But
I can see a buffer between stores so that density of stores doesn't create a bigger implosion as the industry matures and consolidates. I can see that argument. I can't see it against sensitive uses. Let me rephrase that. I'm not sure that right next door to a house of religious worship is the ideal matrix for commercial tenants on a block.
Why not?
A little bit of a buffer.
God created cannabis, bro. It's a plant.
I wouldn't want a 7-Eleven right next to a church either. So maybe I'm just a little bit of a relic myself.
Yeah, you're relicking for sure.
Where do you get refreshments during the long service?
Yeah.
But I think if New York wants to take a fresh take, they really need to go back to the drawing board and say, does this make sense to begin with? And New York has had some wins, but they've also had some not wins. I mean, there's been, where are they now? People who are like, oh wait, what happened to that leader of their program? And they've messed up the rollout. I mean, they've had their share of missteps, and so why not get real creative and get right back to the drawing board? Why not have some people who study public policy for a living? Why not have some people who say what are the mistakes that are being replicated, and why not really just revisit it all instead of just tweaks? Or this bill is just a Band-Aid is what it really is. It's not going to change the bigger problem, in my opinion.
Dimitri Downey,
because the cannabis has no lobby, right? They have no lobbying that can get all of that.
They do have people lobbying, but they don't have a unified voice. It's a very fractured voice. So, but there are lobbyings, but it's not
nothing compared to alcohol or law enforcement
or nail polish. Yeah. Well, Dimitri Downing in the chat, he says the original MPP initiatives included lots of language to appease fears of voters who wouldn't want legalization, and ironically, but all credit for their political insights and spin. He also says even licensing caps originated from our own side, but it was politically expedient. I get it, bro. I know we did this to ourselves. I agree with that. We totally did it to ourselves. We created these whole problems by trying to appease too many of the naysayers, and at the same time, that's how we got this overtaxation, because we sold this as a bill to regulators as, hey, you know what, we can generate revenue for you, and and that's and so
I don't think we did it to ourselves. I think the spirit of appeasement was more important early on and less important now, and we get to adapt and revise and iterate and update. And with that, I mean, we've got proof of concept. There's dispensaries in many states. It's not a magnet for massive crime. It's not causing people to have a 15-car pileup 2 blocks away. So I understand where the beginning of it was. I think Dimitri's likely spot on with that. And now, X number of years later, what are the adjustments? Because we don't have to be as appeasing. I mean, you're right. The taxes were used as a way to co-opt people who would have been naysayers to regulated cannabis. But now that the taxes are the biggest impediment to a functional cannabis industry, now what?
Yeah.
Now we got to go back to the drawing board. We got to revisit those.
That's
foundations.
I don't know, the word medical was used to get it passed, right?
Yep.
So even though I believe, and I know a lot of you believe, that all cannabis is medical, people don't use it that way very often, but that's what created legal weed, was the word medical.
That part is true, Todd. That part is true. If we didn't have medical cannabis, we'd have no cannabis. It'd still be the 80s. That part is true. Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to unpack in those types of things. So, I think it did originally start like that. In states like Florida, I can tell you that in all likelihood, it started because operators who saw that there was a potential to make money in this business went in and, paid off the legislators to get it passed and create a limited licensing system. That's what happened here. New York was kind of Wild West. California, you guys started in a totally different model, right? With your caregivers, things of that nature. So this idea that there's a model across the country, I think that works. I don't think we're there yet. I don't think that there is a basis. And for example, Florida, when we created our medical program and stuff, we had the czar from Colorado at the time come in and he told them all this stuff. And Florida was like, we understand some of the things we said. We can take and cherry pick this and pick this, but we're Florida. We're going to do our system our way. Yep. And I think state after state as well are doing that, thinking they can do it better than others. New York, I guess we can call it the hemp shops here in this state, but how many other states are there just like pop up, cannabis dispensaries just rolling on every corner and police really not doing much about it? And here they're arresting hemp stores for selling THCA flower. Never mind if someone was, had a full on, illegal cannabis trap shop. So I think realistically, it goes back to human rights violation. It needs to be federally done in order for us to get some parity across the country, equalization of prices, be able to create a real market for these types of products that's balanced, that all the operators know what they're dealing with on a daily basis, or at least have a general idea and know what they're doing with taxation, because the taxation thing is crazy, creates the black market. No state, I don't know, has gotten that right. Maybe Michigan at this point, their prices are so low. I can't imagine that's awesome for operators. I don't know.
Interesting. Well, on that, we're going to roll right into attorney at law, Mr. Michael Minardi. Mr. Michael Minardi comes from the great red state of Florida and has been helping patients, caregivers, hopeful entrepreneurs in the cannabis space navigate the complex cannabis regulatory landscape for over the last 20 years in the great state of Florida. It is none other than Mr. Michael Minardi.
Happy high noon on the East Coast to everybody. And today we are doing a multi-state operator. AYR Wellness Massachusetts exit includes 157 layoffs at cultivation facility. This company is closing its cannabis cultivation facility in the Commonwealth as it winds down its operations nationwide. Multi-state cannabis operator AYR notified Massachusetts officials on July 31st that it'll lay off 157 workers as the company plans to close cultivation and manufacturing in Milford by late September. AYR also owns an adult use facility in Boston, a medical store in Needham, and hybrid facilities in Somerville and Waterton. The stores in Boston, Somerville, and Waterton are branded AYR dispensaries, while the store in Needham is under the Sarah Natural Inc. name. As of January 2025, Massachusetts represents the fourth largest cannabis job market in the U.S., approximately 27,000 workers. The company filed a worker adjustment training notification in Massachusetts a day after announcement of nationwide restructuring agreement to sell and or wind down its assets in 8 states. AYR also has locations in Connecticut, Florida, Illinois, Nevada, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, as well as recently imported Virginia. The company's moved to sell off its assets as part of a restructuring support agreement with its lenders. Today marks a major milestone for AYR restructuring its obligations, having agreed to a pathway to reduce its debt and seek to maximize value for all stakeholders. AYR interim CEO Scott Davidow said in the company's July 30th restructuring announcement. We look forward to continuing work closely with our lenders as we execute the next steps in our restructuring plan as defined by the RSA. The announcement didn't specifically call attention to the company's assets in Massachusetts, but as part of the agreement with an ad hoc committee of its consenting senior note holders, the lenders plan to purchase certain assets and assume certain liabilities on the company in Florida, Ohio, Nevada, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Virginia. In addition, the consenting lenders will offer a $50 million bridge loan at 14% interest, payable monthly according to AYR. These note holders will also be repaid following AYR's auction of certain assets. The company also filed warn notices on July 31st in Nevada for its cultivation and production facilities. The employment losses that will occur are expected to be permanent, and the entire facility is expected to close. According to the notices, which is also lists the end of September as a company's expected termination date, employees affected by the workforce reduction. Warn notices in other states that AYR operates as either aren't required to be filed based on workforce numbers, haven't been filed yet, or aren't yet publicly available. As we're talking about this market and how to make it profitable, another major MSO seems to be going down.
Man, oh man, oh man. AYR going up in the air, it sounds like poof.
It's called AYR.
See what you did there.
Let's go ahead, Jenny.
Yeah, it's called AYR. I was just giving you there. Anyhow, listen, they have a really, really strong presence with their auxiliary brands, and the fact that they are really doing a great job and Yarrow can probably testify to this. I'm sure he sucked on some of their vape hardware, but they're definitely not going anywhere there. Come on, Yarrow, they did a good job with their product. Listen, how do you smoke a vape? Anyhow, if it makes more sense for them to focus on those endeavors and the endeavors that do make money than trying to fight for scraps in a market that is becoming saturated and not really super sustainable for them, then I think this is a great move. It sucks that all those people lost their jobs. I'm super sorry to hear that. But it seems like a good move.
Yarrow, what do you got to say, Yarrow?
I don't suck. I puff and draw. But I thought for somebody who had a technical job, they would know the difference. But not Metrc. Maybe it's outside her scope of services.
Sucking on a vape right now, but it's okay. Yarrow. All you want. Don't call me for fun.
Yeah, I heard yesterday that they were shutting their deal down here in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, big operation. Been going for a while. They employ a lot of people, but like I said yesterday, I got the news that this was happening. So sad for the industry, I think, when anybody was out of business, right? But it just shows that always being the big guy on the block, the multi-state operator, is very, very expensive, and it's very difficult scale in an industry that you can't make any money in.
Yeah, how it sounds like they put themselves in like a self-managed receivership almost.
Right.
How
they're not going to pay their bills. That's going to happen.
Yeah, how it sounds, how they're going to have this infusion, and they're about to sell off a whole bunch of assets all across the country. I wonder who's going to end up buying any of these assets. Because if they couldn't make money off of them, who's gonna expect to make money off of them?
I think the guys that are doing the financing for them are going to just take ownership.
Yeah, but that still doesn't make a lot of sense, Todd.
No. What they'll have to do, in my opinion, is just break it all up, and stay in the places that you're creating revenue.
Yeah.
Close all the other ones.
I feel you.
I think it's hard, especially in Florida, right? So they have a pretty big footprint here. A lot of these companies are, looking at and wondering what's going on. They have such a high renewal license every 2 years. It's $1 million. Even though they've awarded another 23 licenses, they actually haven't given them out yet. And they're really continuing to wait for legalization here. And I think legalization happened in 2016, maybe wouldn't be in this position. But it's very interesting with their play in Florida, and I know they have a lot of stores.
Mm-hmm.
It said 67, so it'd be really interesting to see what they do here. But a lot of the companies are struggling in this state. I know that because of that ability, the hope that they had 24, which hopefully we'll now see in 26, continues to push those prices up on the licenses and sales and stuff like that. Because right now it's hard, because all these operators seem to be kind of kicking the ball down the road, right? Waiting for to come in, taking out loans, building out facilities and stuff like that. And then at the end, when it doesn't come in, they're like, okay, I have like 50 million, 20 million, $30 million debt, really minimal revenue coming in to support that, trying to sell.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm
my takeaway is, I mean, I've met some of their C-suite. They had a guy who was pretty capable that I met in California, and seemed like he really understood. He wasn't somebody who thought he was coming in to teach these people how to do business better. And like, look, if a pubco goes from a market cap of $20 million to less than a third of $1 million with stock that was trading at $2.30 about a year ago down to less than a penny now, well, who's going to make it in cannabis? If it's not the scrappy mom and pop that doesn't have access to capital but is bootstrapping and being very prudent, if it's not the pubcos with access to more money, if it's not the well-run companies, if it, like, every time there's an entity that's known to some degree, there's like this ample conversation about why that entity didn't make it. And if they're a big company, we say, oh, they were being imprudent with the money, they were doing launch parties that didn't make sense. And if it's a small company, we go, oh, well, it's because they couldn't access the public markets. And like, as we see these companies in all categories not make it, at some point it's not, oh, the C-suite didn't understand cannabis, or, oh, the C-suite understood cannabis, but they didn't understand business. And it's not, oh, they didn't have access to capital. At some point, we have to take a step back and go, okay, well, if none of these categories are doing particularly well, I'm not saying the game is rigged. I'm not wearing a tinfoil hat, but I'm saying that the conditions to succeed do not seem to be clear, and therefore companies aren't able to execute and navigate through that. And I'm going to bring it back to lack of retail, local control, overtaxation, overregulation. Those things they take the oxygen out of the room.
Mm-hmm. Interesting perspectives, you guys. Well, we do wish the best for AYR or AYR, whatever, however you want to, let the air out of the room. But we are going to roll into our next commercial, and we are going to be right back.
I'm Cole Preston, and today I'm at Blue Island Beer Company for the premiere of my mini documentary on legalization policy in Illinois. I've been following cannabis policy since colorful Colorado legalized it all the way back in the day, and when my home state of Illinois decided to legalize it, I just became enamored. I wondered, what would it actually look like? If you'd like to see how Illinois fell short in achieving meaningful reform in their cannabis policy, you can watch my mini-doc now at colememo.com/mini-doc.
Oh, yeah. Stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you smash that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it. And YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's show, you can read directly on our website at www.highat9news.com. And please check out the full, in our description, check out all the sponsors that help make this show possible. And make sure that you use the link to order yourself a can of Liberal Tears, 150 milligrams of caffeine in every can, and cases get straight sent to your door. No sugar added, and it's just a great way to start your day. I just ordered the summertime strawberry salad when added steak on top here at Anna's. Make sure you do the same thing too next time you're in downtown Long Beach. Come on down and check out Anna's joint on the 400 block of Pine Street. They have amazing selection of beers, foods, and when you come down here to Anna's, you can even challenge me to a game of shuffleboard if you want to lose. Did you get that? So, next time you're in downtown Long Beach on Pine Avenue, make sure you stop by Anna's Joint on the 400 block. Not only do they have Anna's Joint, this restaurant and bar, but they also have the amazing deli next door, and then next door to that, they have a very exotic flower shop. You may want to stop by and say hi.
Arizona, right?
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
not anymore.
Well,
He's
we're
out
back,
of
guys.
Hempink
We're back.
and,
We're back, Todd. We're back. Hold on, buddy. Hold on.
Okay.
We did get a super chat in from Troy Lawrence who says, use Michigan untaxable to market and bring back coffee shops with consumption lounges attached, like my old one at OU Student Union. I think OU Student Union is Oaksterdam University Student Union, but shout out to Troy with a super chat. We really appreciate that, bro. Thank you so much, Troy. And Jenny Beth, it's on you now.
Yeah, it definitely is Oaksterdam Student Union. But anyhow, that's a really shitty story how that got fucked over. Love you, Troy. Shout out to you being an OG. Okay, so coming up next, the Golden Voice out of Las Vegas, Nevada, the founder of Digipath Labs and the Smuggleverse, and now host of brand new podcast, Becoming the King of Pot. Not him, his cousin, but Todd Denkin.
No, not me. Yeah. Please check that out. A little shameless plug. Becoming the King of Pot now.
Yeah.
Spotify and radio and everywhere. But today, welcome to Hyatt 9 News and happy Tuesday, everybody. My story is about marijuana. Shocking. Marijuana and psychedelics are best rated drugs for eating disorder symptoms, according to the American Medical Association, a new study finds. That's right. New research published by the American Medical Association finds that marijuana and psychedelics are among a small set of drugs that showed promise for improving eating disorders. Psychedelics and marijuana were the highest rated by participants in terms of effectively addressing their eating disorder symptoms. The authors wrote that of their findings, quote, a striking outcome was the favorable self-reported ratings of psychedelics and cannabis for alleviating eating disorder symptoms, eclipsing the ratings of commonly prescribed psychotropics. Quote. Study published in the Journal of American Medical Association Network Open evaluated a wide range of drugs and their subjective efforts on eating disorders, including caffeine, alcohol, nicotine, prescription psychotropics, psychedelics, ketamine, ecstasy or MDMA, stimulants, opioids, and other drugs. Researchers looked at a survey results from 6,612 people who answered questions about their past year's use of substances and how they affected their eating disorder and mental health symptoms. Cannabis and psychedelics were highest rated for improving eating disorder symptoms, the report says, and they were highly rated for overall mental health, not for eating disorder symptoms. As far as prescription antidepressants go, cannabis, psilocybin, and LSD also highly rated in terms of overall improvement in mental health. Alcohol, nicotine, and tobacco, meanwhile, were rated by participants as most harmful drugs. Notably, only a small subset of substances appeared to make eating disorder symptoms better. Most made the symptoms worse. When asked to identify their drug of choice for self-medicating eating disorders, the most popular drug among respondents was cannabis. Normalized by the number of users that of that drug, top drug was fluoxetine. The 9-author team behind the new study represents institutions including the University of Sydney and New South Wales Health in Australia, as well as King's College London in the UK. Findings of the survey of prescription and non-prescription drug use suggest that cannabis and psychedelics were perceived by the survey respondents as efficacious in alleviating their ED symptoms. Supports further research in this area. And that's eating disorder, not erectile dysfunction, Yarrow. Overall, the best rated drugs for eating disorder symptoms among respondents were psilocybin, cannabis, surgic acid diethylamide, they're known as LSD. Team also observed, interestingly enough, that MDMA and ketamine did not achieve the positive ratings evident with LSD and psilocybin, suggesting that classic psychedelics may possess unique properties in this regard. The new report notes that clinical trials are already underway to whether psilocybin is an effective treatment for one eating disorder, anorexia nervosa. Authors noted that one way cannabis helps minimize symptoms in people with food aversive eating disorders, including anorexia, is by increasing the hedonic value of the food. Separately, federally funded research published last year explored exactly what happens in the brain after using marijuana that causes the munchies. Authors of that study said this could help lead to the development of targeted therapeutics for people with conditions such as anorexia and obesity. I'm Todd Denkin with INI News with more positive things cannabis and psychedelics are good for. What do you guys think?
Oh man, Michael, you want to start this off? I know you had a lot of thoughts on this one.
I think it's great, and honestly, so my first medical necessity defense client was actually a 50-year-old male with anorexia who was cultivating 50 plants that we found a jury to find him not guilty of the medical necessity to use cannabis for anorexia. And a lot of the studies early on that supported cannabis use were associated with that, centered around the AIDS stuff, right? So for AIDS wasting syndrome and stuff. So I think this is great. I think it's awesome, and it just shows how nature can help heal us.
I mean, I could have healed that patient. Nobody can hang out with me and run the brisket route that I have and suffer from anorexia.
I know. I thought that it was funny how they were saying, cannabis has always been known to help with appetite, and you know what I mean, and that was one of the reasons that cannabis got such large public support during the AIDS epidemic, was that because it helped AIDS patients that were on the cocktails and HIV patients that were on the cocktails be able to manage food and keep that down and whatnot. And so I don't really necessarily understand why this is such big news all of a sudden. And because, we've always said too, from the cannabis space, that cannabis, the only gateway drug that cannabis is a gateway to the refrigerator. And so I'm really kind of confused why this is all of a sudden is news. But I'm glad that it is in the news and that people are talking about it. But I mean, to me, like this isn't new. Cannabis has always helped people with their appetites and whatnot. And so, it's the reason why they say you get a case of the munchies.
I think they finally did a study about it and studied people, what they were using and how they were using it.
But people have been studying it for decades, Todd.
Yeah,
I know, but I'm just saying they did a medical study. They got a bunch of PhDs in a room and said, what happens if we do this?
And I think this goes back to this whole issue of anecdotal versus real studies and things of that nature, that although everybody who's been using cannabis for 5,000 years, right, medical benefits of it, forever. So there really is no question in our minds. There's continued ignorance and idiocracy of the people hiding behind it, saying that there's no studies on it, even though there's more studies on cannabis than any other pretty much drug known to man, including FDA-approved drugs. So I think that's the validity of it. That's why it's great. It's just confirmation that we can shove up their pie hole to say, shut up. This is truth. This has medical benefits. It's now proven time and time again for X, Y, and Z. That's the benefit.
Talk about shoving it up someone's pie hole. I mean, I have on to get this terminology changed on a medical level. Like, you don't get to say ED for eating disorder and also for erectile dysfunction and expect the non-medically trained public to know which orifice we're talking about. Is it the urethra? Are we talking about salivary glands? Are we talking about, it's a little difficult. So I just feel like if they wanted to make this article a little more user friendly, they wouldn't use that same shortened abbreviation. I don't even like using the word shortened in the same breath as ED, because now you're talking about two different performance issues, and I'm just cringing even having to come out of my mouth. I don't even want to be close. I don't even want to be in the same room with those statements. So you
just said come out of my mouth. So that was kind of weird.
Todd, you are sicker than me, and luckily we know there's no cure for you. But I can see that Jenny is fascinated by this conversation.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
Thinking about the fact that she's not wearing underwear.
Any thoughts, Jenny? Eating disorders?
No, thanks.
No, thanks. You don't want to talk about eating disorders?
No thanks.
Interesting.
I'm going to have trouble eating after Yarrow and Todd's last little portion of conversation.
So you do have ED then?
Yeah,
that's why you're so skinny.
Not in the same way that you do, Yarrow, though. So
hey, I promised you I don't. We could do a double-blind study.
Oh boy.
Wow.
Oh boy.
As we digress.
Does that mean you want her blindfolded?
Todd, way too much information, Todd. Way too much.
TMI, Todd. You really need to keep it above the belt.
I'm just asking.
Yeah. You know,
I'm a journalist. I got to ask questions.
Fair enough. And on that, we're going to roll into our final commercial, and we are going to be right back.
Oh man, your knees still bothering you, man?
Yeah, my left one, you know? And I'll tell you what, I've been using this new CBD cream, and it works like a miracle.
CBDs? I done heard about them CBDs. I was out there on them Twitters the other day, and I heard they get you high as a kite.
Well, not this stuff. This stuff is tested. Every batch, all the way through, pharmaceutical grade, and in a GMP certified facility. So you know you're not going to have to worry about flying high.
GMP certified? I might have to try some of this out. Where I'm even find this?
You go directly to aimhighhemp.com and they will ship it to your door right away. Test it. It's not a name, it's a promise.
Yes, and we are back, you guys.
All right, straight out of Middle Earth and the Shire. Hang yourself on the High at 9 shelf. We don't know exactly which kind of borderline ED he has, but I'm sure he'll tell us more. Coming up next, Yarrow Kubrin.
Oh man, that is those are fighting words.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Take it to the brisket.
Take it to the brisket. I'll show you on the brisket where it hurt me.
Exactly.
Well, good morning. This is Yarrow Kubrin, High at 9 News, Tuesday, August 5th, rounding out the 10 o'clock Pacific time hour. My article is about vape tech from a company in San Francisco. So without further ado, amid changes in cannabis delivery preferences, PAX unveils a solution. This came out today. So are cannabis consumers vaping more? According to a recent study from Grandview Research, the dry herb vaporizer segment was valued at about $2.8 billion in 2024 and is expected to reach over $6 billion by 2030, growing at a projected compound annual growth rate of about 13.9%. Global cannabis companies like PAX are noticing a potential trend on the horizon. Health conscious and discretion are likely driving the rise in sale of cannabis vape products. A handful of highly regulated markets also have non-combustion rules in place, also driving vape sales. The other reason is a leap in vaporizer product technology. This is precisely why some companies are back in the lab to engineer new combustion-free ways to consume flower. Today, PAX unveiled the Flow, a portable dry herb vaporizer. It's a combustion-free device that aims for superior vape performance, flavor, and ease. It's designed for the modern health-conscious consumer, blah, 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 blah. But what it is heat, not burn. And as we know, PAX was a spinoff from a vape company that had interests in tobacco as well as cannabis. And that heat not burn has been an important conversation, at least in the tobacco space, for even much longer than regulated cannabis. So as companies look to figure out ways to increase their market share, innovate, and capture people who might not want a cartridge but don't want to have to roll a joint and also don't want the smell of smoke, and have likely an alternative healthy way to consume without having to put their volcano on a car battery and carry it around in their backpack, this might be an interesting solution. I haven't tried this product yet. This is not a shameless plug for PAX, but the heat not burn conversation always interests me. This is Yarrow Kubrin, High at 9 News.
Interesting, Yarrow. I don't understand why anyone would want to vape flower as opposed to smoke it. I think that's just kind of weak sauce.
Health
is that's total bullshit, because you show me a study that shows that vaporizing cannabis flower is healthier for you than smoking cannabis flower. You can't, because there isn't one. So it's total propaganda.
Is no carcinogen.
Yeah, but there's plenty of studies that show that smoking cannabis, actually helps your lungs from getting cancer and different things like that. So I'm not sure I buy any of this bullshit.
Yes, the cannabis does. The carcinogens do not, Jason.
Still not buying any of the bullshit, Jenny.
That's right.
Okay, so why don't you look at studies about burning paper and inhaling the smoke?
That's totally different.
I don't think the science is not there for you, Jason. And when you say show me, I'm like, well, you do have an internet connection, right? Do I have to type it for you for the Google search?
Yeah, 100%. You got to show me.
The name of the game is willful ignorance with Jason.
Stop it.
So we're not talking about...
Do you guys know the studies by Dr.
Party.
Tashkin on smoking and its effect on the lungs? Just curious. Because he's one of the worldwide pulmonologists that came out with that study.
Please,
Look, you done pissed Michael Minardi off, Jason.
Please elaborate, Michael.
I think you guys, because I'm with Jason on this. There's absolutely no evidence to show that cannabis really causes the same carcinogenic effect that tobacco does. And actually, in that study, it shows how cannabis does the opposite, and the chemicals in cannabis prevent the carcinogenic properties affecting the body. And it cleans the cilia as it goes through your body when you're smoking it. So Dr. Tashkin, he was a pulmonologist, did an extensive study on it some time ago that I don't think has been ever refuted.
Yep.
But it's the
rest my
weed
case.
that's good for you. It's not the papers that are associated or the glue that's in the paper.
No one's talking about that. Yeah, I mean, you could smoke in a pipe, Todd, and you're not going to get any of that paper. So we're not
in a pipe. I mean, the story's about vaping, and you said it doesn't help any better, but it does.
It doesn't.
Right?
It doesn't. Michael just gave you all the evidence of why this is total bullshit.
Michael, what's the deal? Is it better to smoke weed with papers or without papers? According to the study.
Vaping's not smoking, Todd. It's totally different.
That's not what he's referring to, Jason. He's referring to the papers being an issue.
And I don't think there's any studies on that either with regards to its effect on the lungs with smoking cannabis. But the thing is that, vaping and smoking are totally different. You don't get the same high or effect from them under any circumstances.
Agreed.
And I think both of them have a place. It's much easier to vape anywhere than it is to smoke anywhere.
Yeah, where I believe flower.
I smoke a lot of rolling papers because I smoke a lot of joints because that's just my favorite way to imbibe.
Exactly.
It is what it is.
Exactly,
If
Todd.
I may,
Go for it.
I don't play a doctor on TV, even though I'd like to play a doctor with some of our hotter viewers. I don't play a doctor on TV. What I will say is, according to the National Institute of Health, as recently as a couple years ago.
That's the NIH you're talking about.
Yeah, that at National Institute of Health, when reduced, is NIH, correct. And according to them, a heat not burn vaping flower is considered healthier than combusting flower. I'm not sure if that's because of the papers or, what. I didn't do the research, but
neither did they.
I also think that a lot of the conversation gets conflated because I think conversation one is smoking cannabis as dangerous and as harmful as smoking tobacco, taking out the fact that tobacco has a lot of harmful chemicals in it and things to keep the cigarette burn and all that other stuff. And I think when we look at it that way, it looks like smoking cannabis is a lot less unhealthy and might actually have some benefits and I was familiar with what Minardi referenced, although I don't have encyclopedic recall. I think that's one conversation, but I think this is a different conversation. I think it's different conversation is if I want to ingest cannabinoids and I want a very quick onset and I don't want edibles, and I'm not trying to do topicals, is it healthier for my body in general to have a heat not burn where I get those cannabinoids versus burning the cannabis flower and ingesting all of that smoke into my lungs? I'm not a doctor, but I think also we could just pan out for a second with a little bit of common sense. And I think that if you're not burning something and you're not ingesting any smoke and you're still getting the cannabinoids because you've heated it, I'm not mad at that. I think that probably in the long run is likely healthier. And I don't have.
But again, you're not a doctor. You're not a doctor. This is all based off your own personal opinion. My personal opinion is 100% different than yours. It's the exact polar opposite of this because I think that's total bullshit and total propaganda. Personally, but you know, and Michael Minardi referenced a study that I'm going to utilize to back up my research, but you don't have any study to back up your research.
Well, what I do have is the National Institute of Health.
The National Institute of Health, come on, Yarrow. You cannot be serious about saying that the National Institute of Health's opinion on this when they don't have any studies backing this up. And not to mention, the National Institute of Health doesn't have the best track record with telling Americans the truth about health.
Well, I'll put this link in the chat. There are at least 4 articles it references with bylines by people I assume are smarter than me. So I'm a good regurgitator, and I'd like to think that that they've done a deeper dive while I've done a deeper cough.
This is all just marketing. This is all just straight marketing for vaporizer companies trying to make them seem the holier than thou way to consume cannabis for people that want to consume flower, which is total bullshit.
So that, you know, and then that's another issue as far as the vaporizing of hemp flower as opposed to, you know, like another one. That's a totally different process. It is a different high than both smoking and I think vaping, honestly, with that. So it's a different method. And I know some people that really like, you know, vaping the flower with one of those. I think there's a couple other products on the market that are similar. Bottom line is everyone should be able to have the ability to use cannabis how they like it.
I totally agree with that one, Michael. I totally agree with that one. I'm with you on that. Yeah, if a vaporizing flower like works for you, I'm not saying anything negative in regards with that. I'm just speaking in regards to how this is kind of propagated as like the better alternative to smoking. It's total bullshit. Smoke if you want to smoke, vape if you want to vape, whatever. Who cares? It's not a big deal.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. But as far as the vaping flower is better for you health wise than smoking flower, that's a ton of crap, in my opinion. All right. Tobacco is totally different because tobacco has a lot of different types of additives, chemicals, and different things like that. You know what I mean? And I will say this too, you know, like if you're going to smoke dirty weed, like if you're going to smoke PGR weed and things like that, then I would probably change my whole position in regards, because I would imagine that it could possibly be safer to vaporize PGR weed than it would be to smoke PGR weed and whatnot, or maybe something with Avid or Eagle 20 or something like that. I don't know. I haven't done enough research to say that, but I am willing to say that if you are going to smoke dirty weed, then maybe vaporization is better for you than actually smoking it. That possibly may be true. I don't know. But either way, I don't think it's good for you either way. You have anything to say about dirty weed, Yarrow?
I mean, is dirty weed the weed that thinks that ED stands for erectile dysfunction instead of eating disorder? I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
That's
I can't
cute.
speak for the dirty weed.
I love that.
I think that when I think about the first volcano that we bought in 2006, and I thought about how I was just trying to consume cannabis and be as healthy as possible while not having to overdose myself with edibles that weren't potency controlled. I enjoyed it, I found that I used a lot more of it because I didn't think it was as efficient. But one of the challenges with those older designs was you had these bags, and the bags got kind of greasy on the inside. And you'd have this big long bag.
Yeah.
It felt like you were like a scuba diver with this bag floating behind you. It just wasn't very user friendly. So it wasn't hard for me to adopt the notion that this could be healthier and that it was worth trying. But the device technology wasn't really there. And when I think Canopy Growth bought, the
Brickle stores.
That does
Brickle stores, yeah.
Whatever, Storks and Brickle.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that they substantially revamped the technology. I don't know. I'm not an IP attorney. I don't even play one of those on TV either. But the idea that heat not burn and vape tech is an exciting part of the field where there's still room to go. Yeah, that's an easy one for me to understand, nod my head and go, yes. And the PAX technology in their pens, in their cannabis pens, is nothing new. And so once you get past, oh, cool, it's got a little magnet that sucks the cartridge over to the thing. Like, that's not new vape tech. So for a company that had at one point like a market share as big as Chrysler, I like that they're spending some money on R&D and not just advertising, and that if they can help whatever the state of the art in science is, yeah, I'll probably try it. And maybe it's not going to be my only go-to, but that old Stork and Bickle thing that was sitting up in the top cabinet by the wet bar that I haven't used in a long time, it's because it didn't have a user-friendly experience. I don't want to have to cut bags and stash them in.
It's a lot. Yeah, it is a lot of
all that. It's a lot of work, right?
Yeah.
Versus just rolling a joint and being boom, I'm off. Let's go.
Yep.
So I would welcome revisiting heat not burn on a more regular basis when manufacturers come out with something that's easier to use.
I think
How about the vapor cup? Very cool. Looks like a Starbucks cup, and yet it's a vape device.
Oh boy.
I also like the idea of heat not burn for inside my house. Like, I don't want to put a lot of smoke inside of a house, but I'd be completely comfortable vaping until the wee hours of the morning.
Yeah, but even vaping, it still makes your house just as dusty, and you still get that film on everything too from vaping inside your house as you do from smoking Yarrow. Maybe not as fast, but it still happens.
Well, come up and let's test that theory.
I'm with that. And Yarrow, in regards with your comment about you wanting to play doctor with different members of the audience, Steve Blessingham threw in a chat. He said, "I'm sorry, Yarrow, we are not playing doctor together."
All I want from Steve is access to the amazing food that guy seems to either create, co-create, own, innovate. I don't know, but his feed is nothing but the best food porn I have ever seen. So the only salivating I get when I think about that gentleman in our chat is the food that he seems to be associated with.
Fair enough. And we do want to wish his father, who just celebrated a birthday, a happy belated birthday. So happy birthday, Steve, to your father. Hope everything is going well.
Maybe I could take one of my new dates to one of his restaurants or something when I'm not going to Anna's joint. I could.
You should come down here to Huntington Beach, bro. He's got a few of them down here.
Threaten me with a good time.
Yeah, I'm just saying, bro. Come on down to Huntington Beach, bro. It's you know what I'm saying? It's the land you may get lost in, you know what I mean, Yarrow? You may never want to go home back to the Shire after you come and spend some time out here. It's quite possible. Well, I got our final story for the day, you guys. I hope you're ready for this, because Ohio County will be home to Kentucky's first medical cannabis dispensary, you guys. That's right. A rural town in western Kentucky will be home to the state's first medical cannabis dispensary. The pot dispensary in Beaver Dam, Yarrow, has received approval to open the state's first dispensary since medical marijuana became legal on January 1st. In a quote, they say, "The process of going through permits, zoning, and inspections is a pretty audacious process," said General Manager Trip Hoffman in an interview with WKU Public Radio. "Becoming the first one to be fully approved, we were really happy. We've had a lot of inquiries, so we're having a good time with it and enjoying the moment," he says. An exact date hasn't been announced, but operators are expected to begin in the fall, and Hoffman said he hopes for a mid-September opening. Maybe it's a mid-September opening. In an additional quote, "This is another step forward as we work to ensure Kentuckians with serious medical conditions have access to the medicine they need and deserve," said Governor Andy Beshear in a social media post. And last month, Armory Kentucky of Mayfield became the first cultivator in its class of medical marijuana companies to begin operations after passing its facility inspection, not to mention all those out-of-state plants. The pod dispensary is hosting an informal event for the public on August 9th, and prospective customers can be evaluated by a nurse practitioner and meet the staff from 10 to 3 p.m. at its office on North Main Street in Beaver Dam. Kentucky's Office of Medical Cannabis has awarded 48 licenses for medical dispensaries across the state, and Hoffman, who will manage the Post dispensary in Ohio County, is from Denver, Colorado, and has experience opening dispensaries in other states. The state auditor's office is investigating how the Kentucky's Office of Medical Cannabis administered the lottery process for awarding businesses licenses, with many going out to out-of-state companies. Hoffman said that the Post dispensary would have a local workforce of up to 20 individuals, and it's located in the former Beaver Dam Post Office, commissioned in 1962 by President John F. Kennedy. As of July, more than 11,000 Kentuckians had received a medical cannabis card, and to qualify, patients must have a chronic condition approved under the state's medical cannabis program, such as cancer, epilepsy, or PTSD, you guys. Well, they're having a patient party, it sounds like, to try to gain some clientele, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this. Crickets, huh?
It's tough.
Okay. All right, fair enough. I tried to end on a good story. I tried to end on a good story, you guys. I tried.
No, I think it's great. I think any way that they can legally get out there and promote and have some fun, got to do it. It's not our lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
It's our brand.
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting, you know, that these guys are opening up. Congratulations to them. I think it's a unique idea that they're like, hey, we're gonna have a come get to know us neighborhood kind of party, and we're gonna have a nurse practitioner on site to get you guys recommendations if you guys happen to need one. I mean, that was always considered illegal in a number of different municipalities for a number of years, and so obviously it's not illegal to do that in Kentucky. But I mean, if that's the case, they might as well just open up a side doctor's office inside of the inside of the dispensary, so then that way they could keep the paper mill going.
Yeah.
Why just do it on one day?
Yeah. No, maybe it is. I don't know if there are any regulations are there related to that. The thing with this is, I wonder if this is one of these companies that put in 100 applications corruptly and got it through fraud and misrepresentation and bending the rules out there in Kentucky.
It sounds like it did. Based off how the story was written. But we don't want to over speculate. You know what I mean? Here at High at 9 News. But to me, it sounds like it did.
Most of the ones that got licenses in that state did, and some of the operators that did have been blatantly, acknowledging putting in X amount of applications. Finding a way around the requirements that you could only apply for one application and in one tier. So it's very interesting out there, and I'm really curious.
Corruption in Kentucky, shocking.
Well, the part that confuses me is how that they were able to get the location of a old post office, because to me that's all federal property that should be leased out by the GAO, and so I'm a little confused as to that.
Well, Todd, they both start with the same letter, don't they?
Oh boy.
Cousins, Cannabis, and Kentucky.
Oh God, you guys are cute. You guys are cute.
Actually, I just went to a reunion this weekend, and one of the gals we went to school with is back, and she was traveling back to California for this. She has a Kentucky accent. I gotta say, those accents are awfully cute. That is a cute accent.
Fair enough. Well, congratulations, Kentucky. And thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. Big shout out to our audience and supporters for tuning in daily and listening to the insanity that is the developing cannabis industry. Huge thank you to Aim High Hemp Distribution, Tested, and Catalyst for helping us keep the lights on over here. And thank you to our correspondents for being absolutely amazing. Thank you to Cannabis Sativa L for giving us a reason to do this every day. And thank you to Cloud Media partners Elias and Kai are somewhere in the metaverse. And thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us. We are America's #1 daily cannabis news show.